Hey guys, TSL here, and today we'll be continuing our remastered version of our SPTS tutorial. In today's video, we'll be making the GUI to actually display our stats, as well as making the multipliers, so let's get into it. So basically, what we're going to do is going to start a GUI and make a screen GUI, and this is going to be called stats. In this, we'll have a frame. We'll make the frame of 0.5, 0, 0.5, 0, and the anchor point 0.5, 0.5, and the position 0.5, 0, 0.5, 0. So now it's perfectly in the center of our screen, and we can add a UI corner inside of it to give it a round corner. As well as this, we can add a UI, stroke, and that will give it a little border. And now we can adjust the color. But first, let's actually change the color of our frame. So the color of our frame will give it a nice little blue. Something like this looks pretty good. And then for the stroke color, we will copy this color, put it here, and just make it a bit darker. Probably something like this, and make the thickness to like 4. So as you see, this doesn't look too bad. And yeah, so we'll duplicate this and put it inside itself, and then we're going to change the size on the Y to 0.25 and just drag it up here, and this should be just 0 on the Y axis for the position. So now it's perfectly up here in the center, and half of it is up and half of it's still falling over. We'll call this the title frame, and inside of it we'll just have a text label that takes up the whole space, so 1, 0, 1, 0, and we'll give it a background transparency of 1, text scale to true, we'll give it a bold font, and we will go with a white text color, and we'll make it say stats. Alright, so now let's actually get into displaying our stats. So we'll change this over time, but for now let's just add the main stats that we have in the game right now. So we'll add it like about right here, I'd say, because up here we want to have like display a profile picture, and then like all your reputation, stuff like that, but we didn't make that yet, so we're not going to do that yet. So inside of here we'll have a frame, and this frame will be our stats holder, and we'll just make this 1, 0, 0.5, 0 for the size, and just drag it all the way down here and make it transparent. So now in here we'll have our first frame, and this one is going to be our endurance frame, I guess. So we will go here and we'll call it, actually we'll do strength first, strength frame, and this is going to have a size of 1, 0, and if we think about it, we're going to have 4, we'll have 4 stat frames, so we'll make the size 0.2, 0 on the Y, so that we have a little bit of space between them. So yeah, we'll have this in here. We'll add a UI list layout inside of our stats holder. Let's make this a little bigger, and inside of our strength frame we will have a text label, and this will be just 0.75, 0, 1, 0, and we'll drag it almost all the way to here, just a little bit of space over there, and we'll make the background color red, give it a nice UI corner, and we want to make this corner actually quite big so that it's like just pretty round over there, yeah, like that. And if we want, we can give it a UI stroke too. This is actually on the text, but we want it to be border, and this will be 2 for the thickness, and we will make it just a dark red, maybe not that dark, like this. And then inside the text label we will put the text of strength : 0 for now, and we'll make it text scale to true, make the font bold, and make the font white. Alright, so that looks pretty good. and we need the button to make the multiplier. So if we in here add a text button and just make this size to 1, 0, 1, 0, and then set the size constraint to relative YY. So now we have a perfectly square button. So which means that if we add a UI corner in here and just set it to something pretty big, like 40 once again, then we should have a perfectly circular button. So if we change this color to the same color as this, let's just copy this because, or it's just 255, because the color picker in here is very bad and never gives you actually what you want. So as you see, we have a perfectly circular button, and if we make this bold and text color to 255, 255, 255 for white, and text scaled to true, and just make the text a plus button. As you see, we have that, and then let's just duplicate this UI stroke from our text label to this button here. Now I realize we can make this frame or this text label quite a bit bigger, probably something like this, and then we could grab both of these and move it here. So this doesn't look too bad, and if we just actually give this a background transparency of 1, you see it looks pretty nice. We can change the text button name to multi button and the label to our stat display. Now for the strength frame, we'll just duplicate it, and duplicate it. So now we're going to rename them accordingly. So the next one we'll do endurance frame, then we'll do psychic frame, and we will have a speed, or we'll just do agility frame. So in here, we will go to our UI list layout real quick and adjust the padding to be like 2, 10. That's too much, so let's try 7. 7 looks pretty good, so I think we'll leave it as that. Now we'll go in and just change some stuff for this. So the first thing we want to do is change the color to a nice green, not too bright but not too dark. This looks pretty good. And then if we go into the UI stroke for both of them, and we give it a dark green, something like that looks good. And then for the actual stat display, we make it say endurance 0. So I'm just going to quickly go through this and do it for all of them, and I'll be right back. Alright, so as you can see, I just changed all of that, and now we have our 4 stats right here. I am aware we didn't make agility yet, so I just left it as agility and didn't put the 0 and stuff. So right now what we're going to do is go and add a local script inside of our stats holder, and we'll call it populator. So basically what we're going to do is our local player service is going to be equal to game:get service players. Our local player is players.localPlayer, and we will get our local stats equals to player : wait for child physical stats, and our local multis, or actually no, we'll do this. local multis is equal to player colon wait for child and multipliers. Alright, so these are going to be two folders, and I know we did not make this yet, so don't worry about that and go looking somewhere in the last video to see if we made that. I'm aware we didn't make that yet, but we're just going to keep going for now. So basically what we want to do is go through for underscore, comma, frame in script.parent, colon, get children. If frame is a frame, and we'll actually do if not frame is a frame, then we want to continue end. So this is just going to go to the next iteration if we're not a frame, so like if it's the UI list layout or the local script. And if it's not, then it's one of these 4 frames over here. So basically what we want to do, is get the strength frame, and actually the easiest way we could do this is just by adding a space here between the names of the stat and then the frame. There is another way we could do this, but this is just by far the easiest way, and it will cause less clutter. So basically what we want to do is get local stat equals to frame dot name colon or here we'll do string dot split frame dot name, and we'll split it at a space. So then what we want to do is get the first index of that, and that will give us the stat name. So then we want to say if stats colon find first child stat, then here we'll say stat name and stat name. So this is so that we won't get an error with the agility frame since we haven't made that yet. And also if it's like something else, that if something's spelled wrong, we won't get errors. So we'll get this will be our local stat. So if we find our stat, then what we want to do is say that our stat or our frame dot stat display, I think we called it. Yeah, stat display dot text is equal to, and for now we're just going to put the stat dot value. Yeah, I think that's all we want to do for right now. Alright, so stat dot value, or actually let's concatenate this with our stat name concatenated with a colon space stat dot value. Alright, so now this should fully populate everything, but that's not the only thing we want to do. We also want to add a click event for our button. So we'll say frame dot multi button dot mouse button 1 click colon connect function. And basically what we're going to do is say that we have to create a little frame real quick. Alright, so let's make a frame that will pop up when we when we click on the multi button. So inside of our stats folder we'll have the frame, and we'll call it multi-frame. Now, unlike our last series, we're just going to have one of these, and we're going to set the z index to 2. There's a UI list layout in here, so this isn't going to exactly work as intended. I don't think there's a way to bypass this. So what we can do is just move this outside into the regular frame and then position it in the middle with 0.5, 0, 0.5, 0, and an anchor point of 0.5 and 0.5, and then a size can be the same thing. and we could just make it a little taller. Something like this looks fine, and just readjust the position. Yeah, that looks fine. So what we're gonna do is add the UI corner in here again, and we will make the color, make it a, what are we thinking? We could actually change it based on what stat we click. So we could leave it white for now, and we'll have a UI stroke of like, okay, the 4 thickness. But we'll have to change this to border because when we add text, it'll make it weird. We'll change it to, oh wait, we added this in the wrong place. We meant to click on this one, so we'll have a 4 thickness and change this to border. And then inside of here, what we're going to do is have a text label, and it's going to be 1, 0, 0.5, 0. And just actually we can make it 0.7, 0 for the Y. And we're going to basically make text scale to true and make it say your current multiplier is, would you like to upgrade to this for this coins? So it's basically going to be formatted something like that. We'll make it bold, and we'll make the text color to white. I know you can't see it right now, but it's fine. And then we're going to have, or we're actually going to name this to the question, or just like the info text. And then we're going to have 2 buttons. So we'll have 1 button here, and let's just make this one first. So basically what we're going to do is set the size to 0.45, 0, 0.2, 0, or actually 0.25, 0. And then we want to position this all the way at the bottom, but like slightly off it, so we'll do 0.9 on the, or we have to make the anchor point 1 here, and then we'll do 0.95 on the Y to make it right here, and we actually have to go a little lower to 0.975, and I think that's pretty good. So let's move it slightly over to the right here. So let's make the anchor point 1, 1, and we're going to set the position to 0.5, and we'll try 0.45. No, not 54, 45. 475. Alright, this looks pretty good for a position, and we're going to give it a UI corner, a UI stroke, and make this border. And then we'll have the cancel button and the confirm button. So this one will be the cancel button. So yeah, we'll say cancel, style bold, text scale true, font color to white. Just the wrong thing. And then we're going to make the button red, and the UI stroke to a dark red, and make it thicker to a 3 for thickness. Yeah, that looks fine. And we're going to name this to cancel, and we'll duplicate this, and we'll make the anchor point -1 on the X, I think. And then we'll move it slightly more over. Wait, that was the size. So 0.4, or actually 0.6, 0.5, 525. Alright, so this looks fine. We'll make this one the confirm button. We'll make the color to a green, and the stroke to a dark green, and then we will make it say confirm. Alright, and we can make the info text background transparency to 1. So inside of our cancel button, what we want to do is just text label, or not text label, we want a local script, and we'll say script.parent.mouse button one click connect function script.parent.parent. So .parent is the cancel button, .parent is the multi-frame. We'll do .visible equals false. Okay, so that cancel button, we'll just close this, and for now we'll just have the same thing in the confirm button, because that will be a part of it. Okay, so now that we have this, we will say up here that our local multi-frame is going to be equal to script.parent script.parent is going to be the stats holder, and then .parent should be the frame, and then .multi-frame, and we'll say multi-frame .visible, or actually we'll change that at the end, but first we want to say multicolor or multi-frame .background color 3 is going to be equal to our frame stat display background color 3 multi-frame UI stroke color is equal to frame stat display UI stroke color, and then multi-frame visible equals true. So now let's save this to Roblox, click play. Alright, so right now let's just close that, right? And if we click this, alright, okay, so that's because we didn't make the multipliers yet, the multiplier folder yet. So let's actually do that real quickly. So go into our leader stats. First thing I want to do is grab all of this stuff, everything that's in here already, and command or control X, depending on what you're on, to cut it and make a function called physical stats that takes in a player, and just paste that in here. And we are basically going to want to duplicate this, so copy this function and paste it here, and we'll make it multis, and this is going to be multipliers. Paste, 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 and paste. And then we can actually leave this name the same, but just add multi at the end of it for here, and paste, paste. Alright, so that should be good now. Yeah, so now basically up here we want to say physical stats and player, and then our multipliers or multis, and pass in the player. So if we save this now, and real quick just set our multi-frame as visible to false to start with. Now if we click play, click on the button, current multiplier is yep. Alright, cancel, and as you see, it changes the color every time. Oh, except for agility, because we put that check in, that makes sure. But see, we're not getting any errors because of that check. But we don't have an agility stat, so it's not going to open anything either. Alright, so we're 24 minutes in, so we're actually not going to make the multipliers today. But what we will do is make the frame populated, or populate the text. Okay, so basically the way we're going to do this is we're going to go into our populator, and in here we're going to get a couple of things. So first thing we want is the the info text, local multi info, is equal to script, or is equal to multiframe dot info text. And then down here, before we make it visible, we want to say that the info text, or multi-info dot text, is equal to, and then basically what we're going to do right now is just copy the text that's in here, paste it here, and we'll say your current multiplier is, we'll concatenate something there. We'll do the same thing here and here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is get our multiplier for this. So that's why we have this up here. So basically what we're going to do is say that up here, we'll say local multi is equal to stat, or multipliers, multis, colon find first child, and we will concatenate our stat name with multi, and that should give us our multiplier. So your multiplier is going to be multi.value, right? Would you like to upgrade to multi.value, or multi.value times 2 for the coins? We'll just leave at 100 right now. We'll actually have to figure this out next video when we make like the actual multipliers and give them all a price. But for now, this is how it's gonna be. So I think this should be working. Is there anything else we want to do real quickly? I don't think so. So let's go ahead and let's save this. Let's click play. There was actually one thing I want to do, but that doesn't really matter right now. So if we click here, your multiplier is 0. Would you like to upgrade it? Yeah, that's the reason. So I meant to go into our leader stats, and we forgot to change one thing. We could close this physical stats, but we have to change this to 1 for all of these. Alright, so that should be good for our leader stats now and for the final playthrough. Also guys, before we test this out, please remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out a ton, and I would really appreciate it. Also leave a comment what you guys want to see next, other than the multipliers, which we'll finish next video, and comment any ideas for future videos. Alright, so anyways, when we click this, your current multiplier is 1. Would you like to upgrade to 2 for 100 coins? Now actually, before we end this, well, I just realized that we're not actually updating anything every time. So that's definitely something we forgot to do. So right after we change the text, right, we also want to say that whenever the stat dot changed, remember, since this is a value object, it only changes when the dot value property changes when using the dot change method. So no need to use get property change to signal value. That's a very common misconception, so I just wanted to explain that real quick. So set.change connect function, and we're going to just do this. Copy this and paste this in here. And yeah. So this should be fine now. We could just space this out a little like this. Alright, so now if we go ahead and save this, publish our changes, and what should hopefully be the actual final playthrough. As you see, we have this. Alright, it works for all of them. And if we punch, you see our strength is going up. Push up, our strength is going up. And meditate, our psychic is going up. Alright, so as you see, everything is working as it should. And yeah, so that will do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to click the notification bell so you don't miss out on the next one, as well as leave a like so I know that you enjoyed it. Anyways guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.